Hi, y'all. I'm Barry Hack. We're going to go a little more lighthearted today. Last week we talked about free will, and I still want you to think about free will a little bit and the choices that you make. But the choice that we're going to make today is about standing for God. And today, Second Chronicles chapter 20, we'll hear about Jehoshaphat, and we'll have a little bit more from C.S. Lewis, a great story I think you'll like. So Jehoshaphat, chapter 20, Second Chronicles, is hearing about a vast army coming out to fight against him. Semites, Ammonites, Moabites, and such. And so he gets a little panicked because it's a vast army, and he doesn't have a vast army to go against him. And so he's going, uh-oh, what do we do? Well, he immediately turns to God. And isn't that what we do in times of trouble? God, need your help. I'm not strong enough. What are you going to do for me? Well, how are you going to help me? So Jehoshaphat goes out and he stands before the assembly of the Israelites. And he says, God, you're the God of heaven. You're the God, Lord over all earth. I praise you. We're seeking after you. And all these people that are coming against us, didn't back in the day, didn't you destroy them? I mean, you fought for your fellow people Israel, and you annihilated these people. Why are they coming to beat up on your people now? Well, we need your help. What are you going to do, basically, in a nutshell? Now, he had a little bit longer prayer than that, but in a nutshell, that's what he's saying. God, help us out. Hook us up. Don't let us be annihilated. And at the end, it says that one of the prophets there becomes anointed and begins to speak and says, you know what, Jehoshaphat and all Israel, this is what's going to happen. You guys are going to march out for war. You're going to stand there, and you're going to see God do everything for you. You're not going to have to fight this war. It's the Lord's. Now, that's what we want to hear, isn't it? You ain't got to do anything. Just hang in there, hang tight. God's got this. Now, it wasn't always this case, especially in the Old Testament, one of my favorite books by far. 39 books, and most of the books are fighting and just PG-13 kind of stuff. So here's Jehoshaphat going, okay, let's go out. So he goes out to war the next morning with the people. And what had God done? All that sin that was harbored in these Ammonites and Moabites and stuff, greed and power and money hungry and stuff, rose up, and he allowed it to come up in between them. So what they did is fought against each other. One faction rose up against another, and they started fighting each other and killing each other. And God allows this to happen till finally no one's left alive. So the Israelites march up, they look out, and they're like, what happened? Well, God said you wouldn't have to do anything, just stand there. Now, I want you to understand one thing. The Israelites at this time weren't exactly battle hardened like the Israelites of old. They hadn't gone through a lot of battles. They had been kind of subject and lost a few battles, and so you kind of become maybe a little fearful inside. And so that fear may have been there, Oh boy, are we sure God's going to show up? They may have been questioning themselves, but they got ready for the battle and they marched out, which takes courage. Think about each day. If you're having trouble at work or trouble in your life, and you get up and you start that day and I'm going to have a good day today, and you go forward, that's courageous. Especially in 2020, we all should have badges. I go to the store and I see it says heroes work here. Well, heroes, yes, I think the heroes are the firemen, the policemen, and doctors and nurses who are on the front line. But nonetheless, I think we all would be heroes considered getting up and going to work in this climate that we live in. But here, God wanted them just to stand firm, stay there, and let them know that God's got this. Don't worry about a thing. God's basically saying, I got you back. So God annihilates the army. They go and plunder. They come back. And what happens? Jehoshaphat begins to praise God. That's a good king, a good leader. He doesn't say, woohoo, look at us. Man, aren't we awesome? They fear us. After he did that, if you read the next couple of verses, it says, and the fear of the Lord fell upon everybody. It didn't always happen like this in the Old Testament. Most of the times in the Old Testament, they're having to go and fight. You'll read of different stories where they had to hold up a leader's arms so that they would win the battle. And when the leader's arms were raised up, they won. And when the leaders' arms fell, they started losing. They fought a lot of battles in the Old Testament. That's just the times they were in. Today, we kind of call ourselves more civilized. We fight different battles today, right? Getting cut off on the freeway. We take that free choice into account. Do we honk and curse them out, say some bad things, or do we let it slide and go, they must have needed to get to work faster than I did today, or they must have needed to get to the store, or they're in a hurry and, maybe I don't need to be in a hurry. Maybe God's allowing me to be cut off and held back for a reason. Maybe there's something bad up ahead and they're going to get to it first and God's protected me. Well, whatever the reason, God does have your back. He does love you. And yes, sometimes the battles are His. And He's going to let you know. Is the battle His today? Could be. That's up for Him to decide. So here's a little story I want to end with that I love C.S. Lewis. Prince Caspian, he wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, and Prince Caspian is one of his stories in that Chronicles of Narnia deal. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was first. Then you got a couple books down, you got the Prince Caspian. And so at the end of Prince Caspian, the Narnians are winning, and they're fighting back the other side. The Talmarines, I believe, is the name of them. And so they're at this bridge that crosses over a river. And on the other side, here comes little bitty Lucy, a 10-year-old girl. And as she walks on this bridge, and again, 10-year-old girl walking against an army, she pulls out her dagger and kind of holds it like, you want a piece of me. And the whole army looks around kind of bewildered, like, we're being chased by a whole army of Narnians, lions and buffalo and stuff, and centaurs, and we're afraid of this little girl? Come on, guys, get it together. So they begin to charge Lucy, and then all of a sudden they see a lion come up, Aslan. So Aslan comes over, and he just roars, and they kind of stop, and they're like, wait a minute, okay, whole army behind us, a little girl and a lion in front of us, let's go attack. And so as they go to attack, this waterfall guy comes over and destroys the whole army, and they have to surrender, and the evil guy loses. The whole point that I loved right there was the battle was Aslan's. All they needed was him. And again, he's a Christ, a godlike figure in this story. And all that Lucy needed to do was to walk onto that bridge, stand there, and give that cute little smile she does to the army. Kind of like, you guys are done. You just don't realize it yet. So when you're battling this week with different problems, it's done. It's in God's hands. He's got this. Short story today. Short message. I hope it blesses your week. Love you guys. Have a blessed one. Bye.